Do we know if we have anyone who needs a Spanish interpreter?
2 inmates.
Is it, I'll just ask you all, is it more convenient to take them first or just keep them in order?
I would take them first.
Okay. Do I have them here first? Okay. Then I believe I've got them at the front of the line. Giovanni Perez Juarez.
Good morning again, Your Honor.
Good morning, good morning. And I assume you're the same interpreter that I swore in earlier?
Yes, sir. Jaime Sotomayor, certified federal interpreter, already sworn.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, we have Giovanni Perez Juarez. And Mr. Juarez, you've been charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
No. Sí.
No, I'm sorry, sir. Would you like the public defender appointed to represent you?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim? Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, it looks like Mr. Perez Juarez has no prior convictions of any kind. It's a misdemeanor domestic violence, so we would ask for ROR or a minimum bond in the amount of $100.
State.
No objection to a monetary bond in the amount of $100 and the condition of no contact with the victim.
Okay, I'll set bond at $100 for conditions, no contact with the victim, maintain separate residences, no return except for a one-time assist with law enforcement to obtain possessions. If Mr. Perez Juarez has any weapons, firearms, they shall be surrendered to law enforcement. And that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And next, I think we have Ricardo Portalatin Rivera.
I'm sorry, sir. I could not hear the last names.
It should Ricardo Portalatin Rivera.
Portalatin Rivera. Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Portalatin Rivera, you have been charged with domestic violence battery and resisting an officer without violence. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. And has there been any contact with the victim?
No contact with the victim, Your Honor, but he did have a prior case in 2017 with the same victim. There was no info.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, as this is a misdemeanor domestic violence, and Mr. Portalatin, Rivera has, his last Florida conviction was in 2003, which is a no valid driver's license, and he has no other out-of-state history. We would just ask for street PCR.
Let me hear from the state.
Your Honor, well, he does not have much of a criminal history due to the prior incident in 2017 involving the same victim. The state would ask for a monetary bond in an amount deemed appropriate by the court with pretrial release and conditions of no contact with the victim or no hostile contact.
Give me one moment. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'll set bond count 1 at $250, and on count 2 at $250. That will be with conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, no return to the residence except with a one-time assist with law enforcement to obtain any possessions. If Mr. Portalatin has any weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement. And that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you, sir. Is that everyone in terms of defendants or victims who need a Spanish interpreter?
We have a victim, Your Honor, in this Spanish interpreter.
Okay, and which case is that?
Jimenez, Garcia, Johan.
I'm sorry, Garcia, what?
Jimenez, Garcia, Juan.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, we should have Johan Jimenez Garcia. Mr. Garcia, you've been charged with domestic violence battery. Anything you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
I have the right to remain silent. No.
Okay. I do find probable cause, and I understand that we have the alleged victim here. Sir, what is your name?
José Jiménez.
Tengo entendido que tenemos... ¿Necesita traducción?
Sí, por favor.
¿Cómo es su nombre?
José Jiménez.
José Jimenez.
Ajá.
Mr. Jimenez, please raise your right hand.
Señor Jiménez, por favor, levante su mano derecha para el juramento.
And do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
¿Usted jura o afirma que dirá la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad con la ayuda de Dios?
Sí, lo juro.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what is it that you would like the court to know?
¿Qué es lo que usted desea que el tribunal sepa?
Exactamente, pues los acontecimientos que pasaron en mi casa y la agresión que tuvo mi hijo contra mí.
Well, I would like the court to know exactly the events that transpired at my house and the assault that my son committed against me.
Okay, why don't you tell me what occurred?
Dígame entonces qué sucedió.
Sí, en lo que escribí el día de ayer hay algo que está mal redactado, hay una
Well,
equivocación.
I wrote down a statement yesterday, but there's something that I wrote incorrectly.
And what do you need to correct?
¿Qué necesita corregir?
Corregir exactamente en dónde empezó la agresión que mi hijo hizo hacia mí, que fue exactamente a la salida del closet de mi habitación.
I wanted to correct the location where my son began assaulting me, which was exactly at the exit of the closet in my bedroom.
Okay, sir, has anything like this happened before?
Señor, ¿ha sucedido algo como esto anteriormente?
No, señor, como una cosa así tan fuerte jamás había sucedido.
No, sir, nothing like strong, as big as this one. This has never happened before.
Have more minor incidents of violence or threats occurred before?
Pero han sucedido incidentes menores, con menos violencia, menos amenaza anteriormente.
Sí, correcto.
Yes, correct.
Okay, how many times in the past?
¿En cuántas ocasiones en el pasado?
En el pasado, yo diría que en el transcurrir de 2 años han habido agresiones verbales unas 6 o 7 veces.
Well, in the past, I would say that during the past 2 years, there have been verbal aggressions on 6 or 7 times.
Had your son consumed any drugs or alcohol the day of the incident?
El día de este incidente, ¿el hijo suyo consumió algún alcohol o alguna droga?
No, porque el día anterior yo lo recogí y él durmió en mi cuarto, en el piso, y yo dormí en mi cama, y él estaba completamente sano.
No, because the day before this incident, I picked him up and he came to spend the night at my house. He slept on the floor in my bedroom and I slept on my bed, but he was completely well.
Was there anything that led up to the incident? Was there any warning at all?
¿Hubo algún indicio de este incidente, algo que haya causado este incidente o alguna indicación de que esto iba a suceder?
No, realmente nosotros nos levantamos como cualquier ser humano se levanta después de la cama. Yo me bañé, él se bañó, salimos, estábamos en la alcoba, perdón. Yo entré al baño a cambiarme, al closet. Cuando iba a salir del closet, él se me lanzó encima. De repente, no habíamos cruzado palabras soeces o groseras o de agresión ninguna. Y él simplemente
Momento.
reaccionó así.
No, sir. Actually, we had woken up that morning like every other human being wakes up after going to bed the night before. And I actually went to take a bath. He took a bath also. Then we were going out, but I went to change. I went to get dressed inside the bathroom. No, actually inside the closet. And then when I got changed and I came out, he just jumped on me all of a sudden with no provocation, no exchange of words or anything.
Does your son have any mental health issues that you're aware of?
¿El hijo suyo tiene alguna condición de salud mental que usted conozca?
No, que yo conozca o que un médico me lo haya dicho profesionalmente, no.
No, nothing that I'm aware of or that has been told to me by a professional doctor.
Do you reside with your son normally?
¿Usted usualmente reside con su hijo?
No, hace mucho tiempo atrás yo no resido con él. Él,
No, it's been a long time that we have not lived together.
Okay, do you wish to have any continued contact with your son?
¿Usted desea tener algún contacto, continuar en contacto con su hijo?
pues lamentablemente siento decir que no, porque yo siento que corro un riesgo cuando él se acerca a mí.
Unfortunately, I would have to say no because I feel like I am at risk when he approaches me.
I'll allow the state to ask any follow-up questions.
Your Honor, if we could just as a preliminary matter, either myself or the court advise him if there are any mistakes in his report to contact the investigating agency, which is the Orange County Sheriff's Office, to correct those mistakes.
Solamente le tenemos que informar al caballero que si hay algún error en la versión redactada que usted dio por escrito, se tiene que comunicar con la agencia investigadora, que en este caso es la oficina del sheriff de Orange County, para que les informe que usted quiere modificar la versión.
Ok.
And no further follow-up.
Y no tenemos más nada que decir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Muy bien, gracias, caballero.
De nada, muy amables.
Hear from the state on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, would you give an opportunity to defense to ask follow-up questions, or is that not?
Okay,
Defense has no follow-up, Your Honor.
okay, no follow-up. Okay, I'll hear from the state on conditions of release bond.
Your Honor, it doesn't appear that the defendant has much of a criminal history. However, the state would ask for a monetary bond in an amount deemed appropriate by the court with the conditions of no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, and any other conditions the court deems appropriate.
Your Honor, would the court like to have that translated for the victim?
Yes, please.
La fiscalía está solicitando que se le conceda una fianza con una cantidad razonable, con la condición de que no tenga contacto con la víctima y que no puede regresar al lugar de los eventos.
Ok.
I'll set bond at $1,000 with conditions of no contact, no return to the scene,
Estamos imponiendo una fianza de $1,000 con las condiciones de no contacto, no puede regresar a la escena,
no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription,
no puede poseer ningún alcohol, ni droga, ni ninguna medicina para la cual no tenga una receta.
and if Mr. Jimenez Garcia has weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement.
Y si el joven Jimenez García tiene alguna arma de fuego o arma peligrosa, tiene que entregársela a la policía.
And with that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much.
Eso concluye la audiencia de hoy.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Very well, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, is that everyone who needs a Spanish interpreter in terms of defendants or victims? Okay, thank you very much to the interpreter, and you are free to drop off.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Have a good rest of the day.
You too, have a good day. Okay, the next person that I have is Diego Tavares Fleury, who was reset for medical. Okay, let me just ask defense counsel, we have the option of provisionally appointing you and waiving appearance and just proceeding to set bond. Would you like to do that?
Your Honor, defense counsel would like to waive Mr. Tavares Fleury's appearance and set bond. Bond is already set in this matter, $500 on the trespass and $100 resisting officer without violence, and defense would ask that the court stay the bond.
Okay, so I'll provisionally appoint the public defender. Appearance has been waived. I do find probable cause, and I will stay the bonds at $500 on count one, $100 on count two, and that will be with a condition of no return to the scene.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Next person I have, Frederick Pinckney.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Pinckney, you are charged with trespass on property after a warning. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause.
Yeah, please,
Okay,
yeah, Your Honor.
I would consider a plea with a sentence of time served, credit for, with a sentence of 1 day with credit for time served, and court costs with a condition of no return to the scene.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And you can confer with your attorney about that. Yes.
Your Honor, Mr. Pinckney would like to enter a plea at this time.
Okay, and what is Mr. Pinckney's plea?
He would like to plead no contest to the charge of trespassing on property after a warning.
Okay, Mr. Pinckney, do you understand what your attorneys announced to the court?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Do you understand that in entering a plea, there will not be a trial in this matter or the presentation of any evidence, and that you will be found guilty of trespass on property after a warning?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Has, do you understand that court costs will be? 123? Oh, $323.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, and you'll have 6 months to pay those. Has anyone promised anything to you in exchange for your plea today?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Has anyone threatened or coerced or forced you into entering a plea at this time?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, the court finds that the plea is willingly and voluntarily made. The court accepts the plea of no contest, and I judge Mr. Pinckney to be guilty of the charge of trespass on property after warning. The sentence will be 1 day with credit, with 2 days with, or 2 days with credit or 2 days of time served. Court costs in the amount of $323. You'll have 6 months to pay those costs, and that is with a condition of no return to the scene of the offense.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And thank you very much, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next person I have is Cody Kimball. 1 moment. Okay. Let me ask PTR. I don't have the information for the charges for Mr. Kimball.
This is the only thing.
Why is he here? That's what he's asking. What, is it just bad?
He has a detainer, and his charge is going to be 1 charge grand theft, 3rd degree. I can print that out if you'd like, Your Honor.
If you could, yes. Yes. Why don't we call the next person, and Mr. Kimball, I apologize, we just need to get your materials pulled, so if you could go back, we'll call you when we're ready for you in just a few moments.
He does have the first
Or back here?
He's out on bond or something, whatever.
Okay. All right. Do we have, this is Kelsey Perez. Ms. Perez, you are here on a charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause. And I will set bond in the amount of $500. Yes.
I'm sorry. I believe yesterday that the Assistant State Attorney had made a plea offer in this case. I just don't have the information with me from yesterday. I believe it was the adjudication of guilt.
And court costs.
Court costs.
Okay, I would entertain that plea. So adjudication of guilt with 3 days and credit for 3 days time served. I'll allow 6 months to pay the court costs. So if you need a moment to confer with your attorney.
Yes, Your Honor. Back to court indulgence.
Okay. And okay, and just so that, I apologize for interrupting, but just so that you know, Ms. Perez is out on bond in case number 2021 CF 008996.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Your Honor, at this time, Ms. Perez would like to enter a plea of no contest on 21 MM 7165 for possession of drug paraphernalia.
Okay. Also, just if you need to discuss it with her, I would also be inclined to revoke the bond in the prior case.
Your Honor, I've already discussed that with her. We would ask that the court be inclined to not revoke her bond and set it 0 due to the fact that she is entering a plea today in this new law case. However, she understands if that court declines to do so.
Okay, and I am inclined to do that. Ms. Perez, do you understand what your attorneys announced in court today?
Yes.
Okay, do you understand that in entering a plea, there will not be a trial in this matter or the presentation of any evidence, and that you will be found guilty of the charge of possession of drug paraphernalia?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand that you'll be sentenced to 3 days with 3 days credit for time served?
Sir.
Court calls. 270 for 3 days. Okay, and do you understand that you'll be required to pay court costs in the amount of $273, and I will allow you 6 months to make that payment.
Sir.
Okay, and do you understand that in pleading guilty today, your bond will be revoked in case number 2021 CF 008996?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea today?
Sorry, sir.
Has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea today?
No.
Has anyone threatened or coerced or forced you into entering a plea at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, the court finds that your plea is willingly and voluntarily made, and the court accepts the plea. So find you guilty of the charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll sentence you to 3 days with 3 days credit for time served. You'll be required to pay court costs in the amount of $273. I will allow 6 months for payment of court costs, and I'm going to find that the bond in case number 2021 CF 008996 is revoked.
Thank you, Your Honor.
With that, thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, if we have Mr. Kimball, we can bring him back in.
Yes, on the other case. But they're holding them because, whatever, some relief on that case.
Okay, Mr. Kimball, you previously had an initial appearance. I understand that there's a question as to a bond in case number 2020 CT 00349 with the underlying charge of driving with the license suspended or revoked with knowledge. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if the public defender's office wasn't previously appointed and you can't afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender.
Your Honor,
Yes.
sorry for interrupting. I'd given you paperwork for his charge that he also had, but he had prior, he had bonded out on that, and he was only being held on the first appearance detainer that you just addressed. Right now, the first appearance detainer, they found it before he was let out. So the first appearance detainer, for purpose of today, is the only thing that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so in terms of the bond in the prior case, I'm going to find it revoked. Okay. And with that, that concludes your appearance today, sir.
Was that correct? Did he?
I'm
Oh,
confused.
Okay.
Whatever you say sounds.
Well, yesterday he had bonded, and then before he was let out, they found a first appearance detainer, so he was brought for that. Did you take action on the first appearance detainer?
This is all that I have here. Is this?
He just said he revoked it.
Okay. And not the charge, that's why they were asking if the charge wasn't addressed again though, correct? They already had some bond on it yesterday.
Oh, no, the new charge, no, I did not address the new charge. I just revoked the previous one.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, though. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. The next case I have is Jamie Turby David. Okay, give me 1 moment.
Your Honor, if defense could waive Mr. Turby David's appearance for initial appearances and ask the court to leave the bond set at $100 on the petty theft, and $100 on the possession of cocaine, $100 on the possession of drug paraphernalia.
Okay, is the bond, I've got $1,000 for the possession of cocaine. So first of all,
Sorry, Your Honor.
I'll provisionally appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause, so I've got, what I have here in front of me is $1,000 on count one, 100 on count two, 100 on count three.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sorry, I was scrolling too fast.
So I'm going to stay the bond on those three counts, $1,000 count one, $100 count two, $100 count three. That will be also with the condition of no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. It looks like the defendant is out on bond in case number 2021 MM 6567, and I'll revoke the bond in that case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next case I have is Robert Washburn. Okay, is he in the hospital or is he? Okay, I'll ask the public defender, would you like to be provisionally appointed and waive appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll provisionally appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause on the charge of trespass on property after warning. I'll maintain the bond at $500. That will be with the condition of no return to the scene.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Next one I have is Deandre Bowen. Okay, let's see. I'll find that Mr. Bowen has waived appearance. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the victim?
No contact with victim, Your Honor.
Give me one moment. All right, now I'll provisionally appoint the public defender. Let me hear from the state on bond or conditions of release.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state would ask for a monetary bond to be set in an amount deemed appropriate by the court. The state would feel that between a $1,000 to $5,000 monetary bond would be appropriate, but we'll leave it in the court's discretion, and conditions of release to include no contact with the victim and no return to the scene of the incident.
Okay, defense?
Your Honor, we would just ask for a reasonable bond out of the court's discretion.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I will set bond on count one at $2,500. I'll set bond on count two at $2,500. That will be with conditions of no contact, no return, except for a one-time assist or obtain possessions with law enforcement, maintain separate residences, and if Mr. Bowen has any weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement. In addition, Mr. Bowen is out on ROR in case number 2021 CF 007980. I'll revoke the ROR. And Mr. Bowen is also out on bond in case number 2021 CF 011816. I'll revoke the bond in that case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Otis Cooper. Mr. Cooper, you were charged with tampering with witness and domestic violence battery You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. And if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office can be appointed to represent you, but I see that you do not qualify for the public defender. So with that, I do find probable cause, and I see that we have the victim here. Can you just tell us your name, ma'am?
Latoya Borda?
Okay, could you raise your right hand? And I'll just ask you, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, what is it that you'd like the court to know?
That I don't want to press any charges.
Okay, have any incidents with Mr. Cooper occurred in the past, physical incidents or anything like that, that have caused you to fear for your safety?
No, not anything before.
Okay, has anyone threatened you or coerced you with respect to your the testimony that you're giving today?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay, if anything did happen in the future, would you have any fear or hesitation about calling 911 or law enforcement?
Absolutely not. I will call.
Okay. Let me ask the state whether you have any follow-up questions.
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Okay, give me one moment. And let me hear from the state on potential conditions of release or bond.
Your Honor, the state has no objection to a reasonable monetary bond being set in the court's discretion. The only condition the state would request would be no hostile contact with the victim.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, I'll set bond on count 1 at $100, bond on count 2 at $100, and that will be with the condition of no hostile contact. Okay, and with that, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, the next person I've got is Angela Mumman. Okay. And do we have, Angela, is it Mumman? Okay, Ms. Mumman, you're here today on charges of aggravated assault, domestic violence, and domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time? Okay, I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact?
No contact, Your Honor.
Victim. Okay. Let me hear from the defense on proposed bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, may I have just a moment?
Yes.
Your Honor, Ms. Mumman qualifies for PTR. Her last conviction was in 2005, which was 16 years ago. She does live in California, and that is the reason that I needed a moment to speak with her. She said that she travels a lot for her work. She would be able to fly out for any court dates necessary. She does have a small child at home, so she would ask for a reasonable bond set at the court's discretion with any other conditions that the court deems necessary. She promises the court that she will return for court, Your Honor, and we just ask that she get a reasonable bond so that she can bond out and get back to her child in California.
Okay, State.
No objection to the request made by counsel with the condition of no hostile contact with the victim.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, I'll set bond on count one at $1,000 and on count two at $250. That will be with the condition of no hostile contact.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we should have Tony Buriel. Mr. Buriel, you are here on charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time? Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the victim?
No contact with the victim, Your Honor.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, Mr. Burial has no prior convictions whatsoever. He does have a history of arrest, but no convictions. Your Honor, therefore, we would just ask for straight PTR. He does qualify.
Okay, state.
No objection.
Let me just ask PTR, does the defendant here qualify for direct PTR?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Was it a situation where the victim, you couldn't get a hold of her, or?
When I'm saying no contact, we try to leave a voicemail if possible. It's just that we haven't spoke to them personally. We will tell about the pertinent information for court today on the voicemail if we do. But this particular contact said the victim was attempted and not contact. The contact number wasn't accepting incoming calls.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
I've given the nature of the allegations and not having heard from the alleged victim, I think it's appropriate to set a monetary bond. So I'm going to set bond at $500. I'm also going to require conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, no return to the residence except for a one-time return to obtain any possessions with law enforcement assistance, and if there are any weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement.
Is that it, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. That concludes your initial appearance.
Megan.
Okay, next, I think we have Megan, is it Karen? Okay, Ms. Karen, you're charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time? Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I see that the alleged victim is here. And sir, what is your name?
Jason Karen.
Okay, Mr. Karen, can you please just raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Mr. Karen, what is it that you would like the court to know?
I do have a statement, if I could read this, please.
Yes, sir.
Sorry if I get choked up.
Okay.
What happened Friday and Saturday in our home is not typical for our family. Like any family, we have experiences in life and we have our moments and challenges, but we gracefully move past them together. Our home is normally filled with actions of peace and love, patience and understanding, kindness and nonviolence, hard work and education. I do not fear for the safety of myself or anyone in our home. People make mistakes and sometimes have bad days, and that does not define us. Megan is the absolute best wife, mother, and best friend that I could have asked God to bless me with. Megan works day in and day out for our family and home. And Megan, without a doubt, makes life better for all of us. Megan is my hero. I am hardly present at home. I work 80 hours a week between 2 jobs to provide for our bills, and then hide away to study real estate in my spare time to help our family progress. None of this would be possible without Megan's character and her taking care of us. I am not pressing charges against my wife, and I am completely okay physically and mentally from what happened. I do not believe that a no-contact order is necessary for our family, nor would be healthy for our family. I am asking for the release of my wife, and with your grace, without bond. I believe marriage counseling would be beneficial for our family. My family believes in grace, mercy, and redemption, and a level of unconditional, redeeming love that was exemplified to us on the cross by Jesus Christ. I am here to stay devoted to my wife, our marriage, and our family, and here before you today, Your Honor, to stand next to my wife, Megan. Please have grace and mercy on Megan and our family. Thank you, Jason, Karen, Megan's devoted husband.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'll ask the state, do you have any follow-up questions?
No follow-up.
Okay. Defense?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Thank you so much. Your Honor, we would ask for.
Oh, I was just asking, do you have any follow-up questions
no,
of
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Karen? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Karen. We appreciate your statement. Thank you. I'll ask the defense, what is your position on bonding conditions of release?
Your Honor, Ms. Karen has no criminal history whatsoever, and after the testimony that was just made by the alleged victim, we would seek straight ROR with the condition of no hostile contact, and would just beg the court's mercy on for straight ROR.
Okay, state?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll order Ms. Karen released on ROR with the condition of no hostile contact. And with that, that concludes your initial appearance today. Thank you and best of luck to both of you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, next we should have Benito Carrion. Mr. Carrion, you're here today on a charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office may be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
Contact was made with the guardian of the other victim, but they're not here today. A contact was made with the guardian of the.
Okay, was any information obtained from the guardian?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for straight PTR, and if the court is not inclined to do straight PTR, to do a low monetary bond at about $100 with PTR conditions. Your Honor, Mr. Carrion his last conviction was in 1999 in New York, so 22 years ago without any convictions. So the defense would argue that he is not a flight risk or danger to the community, and a low bond with PTR conditions should suffice.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
There are no objection to either of the options posed by counsel. We'll leave it in the court's discretion.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, I'll set bond at $100 with PTR conditions and with the condition of no hostile contact.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. That concludes your initial appearance. Okay, next we should have Eric Dublin. Mr. Dublin, you have been charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
Yes, I'll go.
Yeah, I'll appoint the Public Defender. And I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
Victim contact was made, Your Honor. See, the victim will not be able to attend court hearing today.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear from the defense on proposed bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for straight PTR in this case. Mr. Dublin and the alleged victim do not live together, so a no hostile contact condition would be fine. Your Honor, it does look like Mr. Dublin has some history, but it looks like his last conviction was in 2007, which is 14 years ago. He has been to DOC, but his release was in 2000, so 21 years ago. He does have community ties that were verified through his brother. Your Honor, therefore, we find that straight PTR with no monetary bond amount and no hostile contact would be appropriate.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
Your Honor, well, the defendant does have a relatively large gap between his last convictions. Most of his criminal history is violent, and therefore the state does feel as if he potentially poses a threat or danger to the community. Would therefore request that a monetary bond be set in a reasonable amount to be determined by the court.
Give me one moment. I'm going to set bond at $500. That will be with conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, understand they're not residing together now, but no return to the residence except for a one-time return to obtain possessions with law enforcement assist. If Mr. Dublin has weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we should have Worriery Giacomo. Sir, you are here on a charge of dating violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. It looks like you do not qualify for the public defender based on the information that we have. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No victim contact made, unable to leave a voicemail as well.
Okay, let me hear from the state on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, it doesn't appear that the defendant has much of a criminal history, if any, and would therefore have no objection to a straight PTR with a condition of no hostile contact.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay. For this, given the nature of the allegations and the lack of input from the alleged victim in this case, what I'm going to do is I'll set bond at $500. That will be with conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, no return to the residence except for a one-time return with law enforcement assist. And if Mr. Giacomo has any weapons or firearms, they shall be surrendered to law enforcement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And thank you very much, sir. That concludes your initial appearance. Okay. Next, we should have Octavia Green. Okay, Ms. Green, you are here on a charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say today may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender's Office appointed at this time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause, and I see that the alleged victim is here. Sir, what is your name?
Philip Green.
Okay, Mr. Green, can you please just raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I stand affirm, Your Honor.
Okay, sir, what is it that you'd like the court to know?
That this was all just a great big misunderstanding. There was no attack on me or anything of that nature. I had made the call to the law enforcement because I just wanted them to be present while I get my computer and leave for a hotel. Because at the moment, she wasn't allowing me to get my computer, and we were having a little argument. So just to protect myself, I asked the law to just come so I can get my computer and go to a hotel. And they got the impression that there was a incident and that I was, in fear or attacked or something. And it was just all a big misunderstanding. As you can see, my stature, I don't really consider Ms. Green a threat. She's a Christian Bible reading woman who would never hurt me or our children or anything. So I think this was a profound mistake, and that I definitely do not want to press charges or anything of that nature. She really doesn't deserve to be here another second. She's an awesome church-going woman, and there's no fear here at all, and we just want her home.
Okay, I think you answered my next question with what you just said. Do you wish to continue to reside with Ms. Green?
Absolutely.
And just one more question. Has Ms. Green done anything in the past in your relationship that has caused you to fear for your safety or the safety of your children?
She won't even kill a roach on the floor. She has never showed any aggression or any type of hostility toward me, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I'll ask the state if you have any follow-up questions.
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Defense?
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I'll just ask now the defense for your position on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, if I may, could we address probable cause before we move on to bond?
Yes.
Your Honor, defense would make a motion to dismiss based on lack of probable cause due to the testimony provided here today by the alleged victim. It sounds like this was just a misunderstanding that law enforcement didn't actually result in a physical altercation and therefore does not amount to battery domestic violence.
State?
Your Honor, the state would object to a court dismissal at this juncture, given the allegations in the arrest report, if taken as true, in the four corners of the document, there is probable cause to find that battery has occurred, and so the state would object to a court dismissal, however, has no objection to either an ROR or a low monetary bond to be set by the court.
Okay, give me one moment.
And Your Honor, if the state court is inclined to find that there's no probable cause, the state would ask for a 24-hour reset.
Okay, I'll deny the motion to dismiss. I think the affidavit does state enough to cross the threshold for probable cause, but I will order Ms. Green released ROR with the condition of no hostile contact.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes your initial appearance. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next I have Juan Jackson. Mr. Jackson, you're here on a charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. And has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
There was no contact with the victim. There was not a number provided to contact the victim.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for a low monetary bond in the amount of $100 with no hostile contact. Your Honor, Mr. Jackson shows no prior convictions whatsoever. Although he does have prior history of arrests, there haven't been any convictions. There is an out-of-state conviction. I think that's supposed to say prank or obscene phone calls, not crank. But otherwise, he's got no history whatsoever. And I don't show a date for that conviction. Your Honor, it does appear that he could reside with his mother, and considering that the victim was unable to be contacted, we just asked for no hostile contact.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
Your Honor, the defendant's criminal history, which I'm showing in the Orange County system, is mostly all violent or dangerous and all similar charges. and so therefore would not agree that a $100 bond would be appropriate, but has no objection to a monetary bond being set in a higher amount to be determined by the court.
Okay, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500. That will be with conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, no return to the residence except for a one-time return to obtain possessions with a law enforcement assist. If Mr. Jackson has weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement. In addition, another condition will be no consumption or possession of alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. That concludes your initial appearance. Next, we should have Charlene Joseph. Ms. Joseph, you are here on a charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you can't afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. It looks like you do not qualify for the public defender based on the information submitted. I do find probable cause. Let me ask whether there's been any contact with the victim.
No contact with the victim. There's a note stating that the victim was also in the Orange County Jail, but when I looked it up, I didn't see that victim in the jail, so.
Okay, thank you very much. One moment. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500 with conditions of no contact, no return to the scene of the offense. If Ms. Joseph has weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement.
Your Honor, may I speak on Ms. Joseph's behalf as a friend of the court?
Yes.
Your Honor, Ms. Joseph and the alleged victim in this case work together, so we would ask for no hostile contact. And considering that the alleged victim was also an OCJ and could have been made contact with while he was here, we do not know if he was advised that he could be here to speak with on this case. So we would just ask for a reduced bond and no hostile contact.
Okay, State, any objection to no hostile?
No objection, and no objection to reduce bond as well.
Okay, I'll reduce the bond to $250, and instead of no contact, the condition will be no hostile contact. I'll maintain the condition of no return to the scene of the offense and the requirement to surrender weapons and firearms to law enforcement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, and ma'am, that concludes your initial appearance.
Was the public defender assigned for her or no?
No,
Okay.
I was a friend of the court.
Is she pro se or to get her own attorney?
She didn't say.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, qualified.
Welcome. We should have Stephen Kane. Mr. Kane, you are here on a charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
Let's see, victim contact not made. There was a voicemail left.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for a low bond in the amount of $100 with pretrial release conditions and no hostile contact. And Your Honor, defense would ask that you consider not revoking and setting at zero the prior charge.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
Your Honor, given the age of the defendant and the relevant criminal history, it is relatively extensive for his age, and therefore the state does feel like he may be a threat to the community or a danger to the community, and therefore does not feel that a $100 bond is appropriate. A higher monetary bond would be fine in the state's opinion, but $100 would be low based on his history. Also, the state would request that, including the conditions imposed by the court, would be no drugs or alcohol without a prescription and no hostile contact with the victim.
Okay, give me one moment.
Your Honor, this is Stephen Kane.
Yes.
He's out on bond also, Your Honor.
Oh, right. I've got that. Thank you. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to revoke the bond in case number 2021 CT 002108. In this case, 2021 MM 007180. In light of the prior history, I'm going to set bond at $750. In addition, there will be conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences. Let me just ask, who resides at the residence, if you know defense?
His grandmother, his uncle, and his cousin, Your Honor.
Okay, so maintain separate residences with respect to the victim. If Mr. Kane has any weapons or firearms, they shall be surrendered to law enforcement, and there shall be no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That concludes your initial appearance.
Today. Okay. The other charge? I just let him know. Good luck to you, sir.
Okay, we should have next Samaya Lammers. And Ms. Lammers, you're here on a charge of dating, violence, battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause, and I see that the alleged victim is here. Sir, what is your name?
My name is Derek Dorado, Your Honor.
Okay, sir, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, what is it that you'd like the court to know, sir?
I prepared a statement. Would you mind if I read it?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor, in the court. I've known Samaya since December 2017. We've dated for the last 3.5 years. During this time, I've met her family. I see where she's come from, and I see how far she's gone. She's a fantastic member of the community, always having snacks and goodie bags for the homeless and feeding dogs around the neighborhood. This is not a reflection nor a representation of who Samaya Lammers is. I can say, Your Honor, that on Friday, October 8th, Samaya had been under a tremendous amount of stress with leaving her past job and starting a new job, and trust issues in our relationship over the last month. I'd also like to say that that day, there are trust issues because I called Samaya from my neighbor's phone, and she thought that I was cheating on her with the neighbor. This isn't a representation of her. I do not fear for my life. I don't fear for my emotions or my physical well-being with her. I would ask from the court to be so gracious as to release Samaya, because this isn't where she belongs.
Okay, let me just ask a couple of questions for clarification. Have any incidents occurred in the past with Samaya that have caused you to fear for your safety?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, do you currently reside with Samaya?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and do you wish to continue to remain in contact with Samaya?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll just ask the state, do you have any follow-up questions?
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Defense?
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, court.
Thank you.
Your Honor, defense would ask for a straight ROR with no hostile contact, considering the fact that this is a misdemeanor domestic violence offense and the testimony of the alleged victim here today. Also, Ms. Lammers has no, according to the information that I have, she has no prior convictions. She does have prior arrests, but I don't see any convictions. She's got ties to the community. Therefore, I don't think that she is a danger to the community nor flight risk.
Okay, state?
No objection from the state. The state's in agreement with everything represented by counsel.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I will order Ms. Lammers released ROR with the condition of no hostile contact. And that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you both. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next we should have Denisha Lyons. And Ms. Lyons, you're here today charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
I do.
Okay, I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No victim contact, Your Honor. The number provided wasn't in service.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for straight PTR. Your Honor, Ms. Lyons, from the information that I've been provided, has no prior convictions. She does have a limited arrest history of similar charges. However, no convictions came from those arrests. She does have ties to the community, and she's gainfully employed here in the community. Therefore, she's not a flight risk, and defense would ask for straight PTR.
Okay, state?
No objection, Your Honor.
Your Honor, defense would also ask for no hostile contact. I'm sorry.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, I'm going to set bond at $100 with conditions of PTR and no hostile contact.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. That concludes your initial appearance. Okay, next, we should have Alexandra Oloruntola. And Ms. Oloruntola, you are charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
Voicemail was left, Your Honor, for the victim.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for straight ROR with no PTR conditions. Your Honor, I'm just going to call her by her first name. Alexandra has no prior criminal history of any kind, no convictions, no arrests, no out-of-state criminal history. Miss Alexandra and the alleged victim do share a child in common, and they are in a relationship at this time, so we would ask for no hostile contact. The child does have an appointment tomorrow that they need to attend.
Does have, I'm sorry?
They have an appointment tomorrow for their child that they need to attend, so we would ask for no hostile contact with the child since they have a child in common.
Okay, and is it the case, it looks to me they do not reside together, is that correct?
Yes,
That's
correct, yeah.
Let me hear from the state.
Your Honor, the only thing the state doesn't agree with there is, well, it wasn't an arrest case. There is a prior charge from 2020 involving the same charge and the same victim, which was declined to prosecute by the victim at that time. So given the repeat offense involving the same victim, the state does not feel that RR is appropriate. However, does not object to a monetary bond to be set in an amount deemed appropriate by the court, including a condition of no hostile contact.
Okay, I'll set bond in the amount of $250. That will be with conditions of no hostile contact and maintain separate residences.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And with that, that will conclude your initial appearance today. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so we should have Rafaela Rinson. Sir, you're here today charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No victim contact, Your Honor. The attempted, was attempted, but they left a voicemail and let them know about first appearance.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for straight PTR. Your Honor, we understand that Mr. Riccone has a little bit of history and that he may not qualify for PTR due to the information that I've been provided. However, Mr. Riccone has been unemployed for the last year and would not be able to afford any amount of bond that the court set, and therefore would be incarcerated until trial.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
Your Honor, the defense criminal history is moderately extensive. However, a large amount of it is violent and dangerous, and therefore the state does feel that he poses a threat or danger to the community. I would therefore not be in agreement that PTR is appropriate in this case. However, has no objection to a monetary bond being set at an amount to be deemed appropriate by the court.
Okay, give me one moment.
Your Honor, defense would just ask that be as low as possible because, again, Mr. Riccone is unemployed and has no financial assistance.
Please, Your Honor.
Does Mr. Rincon reside with the alleged victim?
Yes, we do.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I will set bond in the amount of $250. That will be with conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, and if Mr. Rincon has any weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement. Also, no return to the residence except for a one-time assist with law enforcement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, and thank you very much. That concludes your initial appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good luck.
Okay, should have Rodrigo Silva. Mr. Silva, you were charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time? Yes. Yes, okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I see that the alleged victim is here. Ma'am, can you just let us know your name?
Priscilla
And what's your last name?
Cunha.
Okay. Can you, it may be difficult, so I don't need you to raise your hand, but do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing, you swear, let me start again. Do you swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, what is it that you'd like the court to know?
Sorry?
What is it that you'd like the court to know?
So he's a good father, and he's a good man as well. He's a hard worker, and I just wanted that he back home.
Okay. One moment. Okay, has anything ever happened with Mr. Silva that has caused you to fear for your safety or the safety of your child? Any physical incidents, any threats?
No.
Okay, if anything did occur like that, would you have any hesitation or fear about calling 911?
No.
Okay. I'll ask the state if you have any follow-up questions.
Did anybody force you or coerce you to come to court today to provide the testimony you provided?
No.
Did an incident happen between you guys in August of this year?
I don't remember.
Did an incident happen between you guys in June of this year?
Probably I don't remember. So I need just some time counseling in the relationship. It's gonna be great, like psychology or something like that. Pastor, father, because we sometimes argue and dispute like a normal couple. That's it.
No further follow.
Okay, defense?
Do you want to continue to have contact with Mr. Silva?
Huh?
Do you want to have contact with Mr. Silva?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. I'll ask the defense for your position on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, defense would ask for straight PTR with a condition of no hostile contact. Your Honor, the alleged victim is here. She wants contact with him. He is the father of her child. They are engaged to be married and they do reside together. Therefore, we find that no hostile contact would be appropriate. Your Honor, and the conditions of pretrial release would enforce that he would guarantee that he would return back to court and not be a flight risk.
Okay, state.
Your Honor, despite the testimony by the victim here today, the state is showing 2 other open cases involving the same victim from just 2 months ago and then 4 months ago, which are all pending and open currently. Given that, and they're all similar charges, given those facts and circumstances, the state does not feel that PTR is appropriate, and the state would feel that a monetary bond to be set in an amount deemed appropriate by the court be more appropriate for this defendant.
Okay, and in terms of contact or other conditions, what is the state's position on that?
State would agree with a no hostile contact. I think a condition to maintain separate residences would be appropriate, Your Honor, based on the that there are 3 open charges of similar nature, all from the past 4 months.
Your Honor, could defense get those case numbers? Because I can't find them in the state attorney's case management nor in the public defender's case management.
Okay, let's see.
You want?
And they're also not showing on the paperwork that defense was provided.
Right, and that's what I was looking for as well. PTR, are you showing any prior cases?
Orange County, an '07 case, there could be cases that were not ready to yet open, but we can't put those in. There's no out on bond or
Apparently, only the state attorney's office has that information.
What are the
No one
case
else is
numbers
privy to it.
that you're showing?
Your Honor, I have 2021 NF 001402 as the June case, and 2021 NM 003849 as the August case.
Give me the first one more time.
2021 NF 001402.
Your Honor, they're also not available on the clerk of court's website. So I'm not really sure what's going on with those strange case numbers.
I'm familiar with them. We don't put them in. We'll note it for you sometimes in the white box for you, but we won't put them in as a detainer.
What was that last case again?
2021 NM 003849. And I believe, Your Honor, the status is that they're still with our intake department for filing decisions.
2021 MM 003449 is what you gave me?
003849.
3849, okay.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Same name, same date of birth. So weird. He says he wasn't arrested either. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. This one's from 2020. I have a 2020 piece. And this is one. Right.
This one is.
Yeah. So weird.
If they're a prior case, that would be important information to me, but I'm not seeing them, at least in my system. Is there anything you can tell me about?
Judge, if you want me to approach with my computer and I can show you what I'm seeing in my system?
Sure. Why don't you approach?
Your Honor, and Mr. Silva says he's not been arrested in June or August, which I confirmed with the Assistant State Attorney that there's an investigation but not an arrest. I wonder if a warrant has even been served in those cases.
Because of the NF and the NM.
Can you tell him that then? Because then that's not really.
But I'm not privy to.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, pretrial services is telling me that the NF and the NM means a warrant was never served in those cases.
Okay, at this point, what I'm going to do is I will set bond in the amount of $250. That will be with conditions of no hostile contact. I think it's appropriate for the parties to maintain separate residences at this point. So maintain separate residences, and also a condition that Mr. Silva shall not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
One-time return with law enforcement assist, Your Honor.
Yes, and also the condition of maintaining separate residences will be with a one-time return with law enforcement assist.
Can I talk to you off the record too?
Yes.
Hi. Can I talk?
Yes, ma'am, I think yes, is there something else you'd like to say?
Yeah, so I don't have a work, so I can't work here United States because I'm not legal to work here, and I don't have money to pay nothing to stay. So
Okay, so in terms of maintaining separate residences, that you're telling me that would cause an issue for you?
yes, because I don't have money and I can't work.
Your Honor, Mr. Silva also tells me that that would be an undue hardship on the family due to the very high amount that they pay in rent and.
Okay. Give me just one moment. Okay, under the circumstances, I'll change the conditions to no hostile contact, no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. I'll remove the condition of maintaining separate residences with the one-time assist. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you, and thank you, ma'am. Okay, we should have Ashanti Thomas next. Ms. Thomas, you are charged with domestic violence, battery, and disorderly conduct. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender's Office appointed at this time?
Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim in this case?
For this case, victim contact made, they said they would be here, but.
Okay, no one is here. Let me hear from the defense on bond and proposed conditions of release.
Your Honor, the defense would ask for straight ROR with no hostile contact, as the alleged victim in this case is Ms. Thomas's sister, and they do reside together. It would cause an undue hardship on the family as a whole if they were to be forced to have no contact and maintain separate residences. Ms. Thomas has no criminal history that I can see whatsoever, no criminal convictions in Florida or out of state. Your Honor, therefore, we would ask for straight ROR with no hostile contact.
Okay, State?
No objection, Your Honor.
In this case, I will order straight ROR with no hostile contact.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. That concludes your initial appearance.
Your Honor, now that we've finished with misdemeanor domestic violence, could we take 10 minutes so I can get a glass of water?
Sure, absolutely. Why don't we take a 10-minute break? Everyone, if you need to stretch your legs or use the facilities, you're welcome to do it, and then we'll move into the rest.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was hot. I am dehydrated
Okay, we should have Jordan Benjamin. And Mr. Benjamin, you are here today on charges of possession of cannabis over 20 grams. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. And if you cannot afford an attorney, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the Public Defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
I'll appoint the Public Defender. I do find probable cause. Mr. Benjamin is out on bond in case number 2021 CF 013180. In that case, I will revoke the bond. In the current case, which is 2021 CF 013328. I'll set the bond at $1,000 with the condition that Mr. Benjamin not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And with that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance.
Like, I really need to get out. I have kids I have to take care of.
You have a bond in this case?
I need to talk to the judge, man. I don't get here trying to be quiet, bro. I need my motherfucking bond, bro.
Because I meant it out, get out, and sit up.
Okay.
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay. For Jonathan Blount, my understanding is he's medical, or mental health, I apologize. Let me hear from you all on your position. I can provisionally appoint the public defender and proceed if you'd like to waive appearance.
Your Honor, if you provisionally appoint the public defender, we would waive Mr. Blount's appearance for initial appearances. Your Honor, he is currently set with a $2,500 bond, and we would just ask for a reduced bond with any other conditions that the court might find necessary, such as mental health PTR.
Okay, I'll provisionally appoint the public defender. I'll stay the bond at $2,500. I do find probable cause, and that's with conditions of no contact with the victim, no return to the scene of the offense, and Mr. Blount will be required to surrender weapons or firearms to law enforcement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we should have Jadarius Brown next. Mr. Brown, you are here on charge of possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver with the weapon. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will appoint the public defender to represent you. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond at the amount of $7,500 with a condition that Mr. Brown surrender any weapons or firearms to law enforcement, and with the condition that Mr. Brown not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Your Honor, what was the bond amount?
$7,500.
Your Honor, Mr. Brown would like for defense counsel to ask you if you would be willing to reduce that to $2,500. He is unable to afford the $7,500. He doesn't have any prior convictions or history. He does have an open case of Lucia with similar charge. Your Honor, we just ask for a reduced bond.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll reduce the bond, and the request was how much?
$2,500, Your Honor.
I'll reduce the bond to $2,500 with the same conditions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hope you have a good day. Okay, the next case we should have is Luis Chever. Mr. Chever, you are here on charge of driving with your license revoked as a habitual offender. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel to represent you, the public defender's office will be appointed. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time? Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Mr. Chever is out on bond in two other cases. In case 2021 CF 007845, I will revoke the bond. In case number 2021 CF 008283, I'll revoke the bond. And in the current case, which is 2021 CF 013331, I'll set bond at $2,500.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That will conclude your initial appearance. Thank you, sir. Okay, next we should have Guerda Francois. And Ms. Francois, you are here on a charge of driving with license suspended or revoked, third or subsequent conviction. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. It looks like Ms. Francois is out on bond in two other cases. In case number 2020 CT 000402, I'll revoke the bond. In case number 2020 CT 000401, I'll also revoke the bond. In the current case, which is 2021 CF 013335, I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500. Okay, next we should have Israel Galban. Bonded. Do we have Claubert Jean then? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Jean, you're here on charges of petite theft with two prior convictions. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. And you have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I'll set bond in the amount of $1,000 with the condition of no return to the scene of the offense.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir, and that concludes your initial appearance. It should be Vanessa McLaughlin. Ms. McLaughlin, you're here on a charge of grand theft, third degree of motor vehicle. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, an attorney with the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, I would.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Let me, first of all, just ask, does Ms. McLaughlin qualify for PTR?
Let me look at this, Your Honor. Yes, she does, Your Honor.
Okay, let me hear from the parties on bond or conditions of release. Defense?
Your Honor, Ms. McLaughlin does qualify for PTR. She has no prior history that I am aware of in the paperwork I was provided. Your Honor, we would ask for either straight PTR or a very low bond in the amount of $100 with PTR conditions and no return, no contact. She is unemployed and has been for the last 9 months, so it's going to be difficult for her to make any bond amount.
Okay. In terms of no return, no contact, do I have this right that the vehicle is Ms. McLaughlin's mother's and that she resides with her mother and father? Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, let me hear from the state on the request for straight PTR and any appropriate conditions.
No objection to any of the requests made by council. I think either option is appropriate. And in terms of the conditions, no hostile, well.
In this case, I'll order straight PTR.
Yeah, no.
I don't think any further conditions are warranted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes your initial appearance. Okay. We should have Robert Osterblom. Mr. Osterblom, you are charged with fleeing or eluding police and failing to obey a law enforcement officer in order to stop, and a moving traffic violation, driving with a license revoked or suspended. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, an attorney from the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond on count 1 in the amount of $2,500 and on count 2 in the amount of $500. And with that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much. Okay. We should have Quintarius Roberts next. Mr. Roberts, you are here on 2 charges of failure to appear in connection with a case in which you've been charged with possession of utilone and trespass in a conveyance. I'm going to direct that, well, one moment. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford an attorney, the Public Defender's Office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
Oh, do you have your own attorney?
Not at this moment. I think so, but I lost contact with him. I was in the middle of working, and when I went to court, they said the court was closed that day.
Okay, you don't need to say anything further at this point. I'll provisionally appoint the public defender, and on the, I do find probable cause. At this point, I'll direct that Mr. Roberts remain held without bond until he can get in front of the presiding judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we should have Alex Romo. Mr. Romo, you are here on, first of all, charges for possession of synthetic cannabinoids. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You also have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. In this case, let me ask, does Mr. Romo qualify for PTR?
Says no, Your Honor. Looks like he was in Safe Book and he wasn't interviewed. That's the reason provided.
Okay, thank you. I will set the bond in this case at $1,500 with a condition that Mr. Romo not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription. In addition, Mr. Romo, you are also here in another case on a charge of an open container violation.
Sir, hold on. I don't drink.
Oh, okay, so just, I'll ask you to, same instruction applies. I just, anything you say here may be used against you, so you have the right to.
I don't even drink beer. So how do I got open container? I don't drink beer.
Okay. So at this time, I'm advising you of. I'm advising you of the charge against you. Same instructions as before apply. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in this case as well. On the open container charge, I do find probable cause, and I will set bond at $250 with the same condition of not possessing or consuming alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, good.
Okay, and next we should have Kadeem Wright. Mr. Wright, you are here on charges of battery on a law enforcement officer, trespass on property after warning, and resisting an officer without violence. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time? Would you like the public defender's office appointed to represent you?
Sorry.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I will set bond on count 1 in the amount of $2,500, count 2 in the amount of $500, count 3 in the amount of $500. That will be with the condition of no return to the scene of the offense, and a condition that Mr. Wright not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, and that concludes your initial appearance. Okay, next we should have Faith Young. Ms. Young, you are here on a charge of a failure to appear in connection with an underlying charge of trafficking in controlled substances. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You also have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time? Yes. I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause, and I'll direct that Ms. Young be held without bond until she can get in front of the presiding judge. Thank you very much. Okay, next we should have Jacob Barnes. Mr. Barnes, you are here on a charge of failure to appear in connection with an underlying charge of battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender to be appointed at this time?
Do you want a public defender? You need to verbally answer the judge yes.
I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause, and I will direct that Mr. Barnes be held without bond until he can appear in front of the presiding judge. Thank you very much, sir. That will conclude your initial appearance.
Honor, Isaiah Castillo got bonded.
Who is that?
Isaiah Castillo. Sorry.
Oh, that may have been one that we took out earlier. The next person I have is Jabari Jobson.
I don't have that one.
Oh,
The inmate number is 2102-3664.
What was the inmate number again? 210?
23664.
Jabari Jobson, bonded.
okay. Next, we should have Ronald Siska next.
Your Honor, do you want to provisionally appoint the public defender's office?
I'm sorry?
We can't hear what they said. What did you say?
Mr. Siska is mental health.
Okay.
Provisionally appoint the office of the public defender and waive appearance.
Yes, I'll provisionally appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I'll keep the bond set at $500 on count one, $500 on count two, and that will be with a condition of no return to the scene of the offense.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next, we should have Lamar Wolford. Mr. Wolford, you're here on a charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford an attorney with the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. And it looks like Mr. Wolford is out on ROR in case number 2021 CF 008015. In that case, I'll revoke the ROR. I'll set bond on the new charge in case number 2021 MM 007183 at $500. That's with the condition that Mr. Wolford not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Your Honor, I beg the court's indulgence for just one moment.
Yes.
This case is still open. Still open. You were here for 3 days. That doesn't mean that they dismissed it. Okay. Could you announce the bond amount again, Your Honor?
Sure. The bond amount was $500 with the condition of no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
And set at 21 CF 8015.
Yes, and also there is one more case as well. And Mr. Walford, you're also charged with an open container violation under city ordinance. With respect to that charge, I'll also appoint the Public Defender's Office. The same instructions as before remain. For that, I'll set bond in the amount of $250 with the condition of no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. Okay. Next, should have Evan Burchin. You are here on an out-of-county warrant with an underlying charge, underlying offense of violation of probation, possession of methamphetamine. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. I do find, well, to the extent necessary, I'll find probable cause, and I'll direct that you be held without bond on the out-of-county warrant at this time.
Out of counties public defender, are you appointed on these? Are you appointed on these out of counties?
No, there's no actual like charge here in the county.
Right.
With COVID, they were doing something different. So.
Yeah, we've since stopped doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we should have Jeremiah Ledesma.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ledesma, you are here on an out-of-county warrant with an underlying charge of a failure to appear in a case asserting grand theft of a motor vehicle. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. To the extent necessary, I'll find probable cause, and I'll just direct that you be held without bond on that out-of-county warrant.
Oh, shit, I didn't know about the bond.
You get no bond right now. Out-of-county warrant.
Okay, so I have to go over there first to get a bond, to get the bond situated?
Yes, sir. They'll, somebody should be in contact with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next we should have Brandon McGowan.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGowan, you are here on an out-of-county warrant with the underlying charge for failure to pay child support. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. To the extent necessary, I'll find probable cause, and I will direct that the bond on the out-of-county warrant remain as is. And with that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance today.
What is the bond on the out-of-county, Your Honor?
What I see here is $19,392.08.
That's probably your balance of what you owe. So basically zero. Do you know how long Polk County holds? 3 days? Okay. Thank you. $19,392.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, we should have John Torres Colon. Mr. Torres Colon, you're here on 2 out-of-county warrants. Failure to appear in connection with underlying charges of possession of cocaine, and a failure to appear in connection with underlying charges of possession of drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. And I will order that you be held without bond on the out-of-county warrants at this time. Thank you, sir. That concludes your initial appearance.
Here you go. You gotta wait for the county to pick you up.
Okay. So do we have, next one I have is Michael Cotto. Okay, give me 1 moment.
Honor, can we reset for 24 hours and see if Mr. Cotto decides to participate?
Okay, State, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, given the charges there, I think it's appropriate to reset, so I will reset that case. Okay, next, Tarlika Nunez Navarro. I think I had reset yesterday. Tiara, oh, I'm sorry, that was the judge. Tiara Keandra Jennings. One moment. Okay, medical. Give me just one moment. Well, this is Judge Falcone. I'm doing well, I'm doing well. I'm on the bench right now for IAs. Do you have an emergency warrant? Okay, I'll get to it just as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Okay, do we have Tiara Keandra Jennings, medical?
Your Honor, if we could provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender and waive appearance.
Okay, I will provisionally appoint the public defender. Ms. Jennings is charged with a failure to appear in connection with an underlying charge of possession of controlled substance, and I will direct that she be held without bond until she can get in front of the presiding judge.
Your Honor, the presiding judge had set a bond when they issued that failure to appear at $500. Would you just stay that bond amount?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I'll stay the bond at $500. I didn't. Oh, okay, so that's one case. So in that case, I will stay the bond at $500. Also, Ms. Jennings has another charge in 2021, MM007166, possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll provisionally appoint the public defender in that case as well. And I will one moment. I'll set the bond at $500 with the condition of no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next one I had was Flora Worrells. Oh, she's in the hospital. Okay, then we will reset once she gets out of the hospital.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next, Elmer Nieves Grulon. Okay, I'll find that Mr. Nieves Grulon waived appearance. I'll appoint the public defender provisionally.
Hence waives appearance.
Okay, and Mr. Nieves Grulon is charged with a violation of probation. The underlying charge is robbery. And I will find probable cause and direct that he be held without bond at this time. Okay, next person I have is Michael Smith. Okay, Mr. Smith, you are here on a charge of an open container violation of a city ordinance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You also have the right to and to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford an attorney, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. In this case, I would entertain a plea of, was it 2 days? A plea and with a sentence of 2 days with credit for 2 days of time served and payment of court costs, which are $273 that would be payable over 6 months. And if you need a moment to confer with your client, you may do so.
Your Honor, Mr. Smith accepts the court's offer. I would like to plead no contest.
Okay, Mr. Smith, do you understand the plea that your attorney just announced to the court?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you understand that in entering a plea, there will not be a trial in this matter or the presentation of any evidence, and that you will be found guilty of a violation of the city ordinance regarding open containers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you will be sentenced to 2 days with a credit for 2 days' time served? Do you understand that? Okay, and do you understand that you will be required to pay court costs of $273 within the next 6 months? Okay, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea today? Has anyone threatened or coerced or forced you into entering a plea today? Okay, the court finds that the plea is willingly and voluntarily made. The court accepts the plea at this time, and I adjudicate Mr. Smith guilty of violating the city ordinance regarding open containers of alcoholic beverages. I will impose a sentence of 2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. Mr. Smith will be required to pay court costs in the amount of $273 within the next 6 months.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And is that everybody?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, let's get this signed. I just want to make sure they can hear me. All right, good morning, Osceola. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, I'm doing well.
Excellent. Richard Mendoza from the Office of the Public Defender.
Okay, welcome and for the state.
Matt Storch on behalf of the state of Florida.
Okay, do we have any folks that need Spanish interpreters?
Yes, Your Honor. I do have two. The first one is Davila Acosta, first name Nick. The second one is Gonzalez Olmo, first name Jose.
Okay, I have those two.
And Judge, also for your notes, Mr. Padilla Ambert, first name Joshua, has bonded prior to IAs.
Okay, well, can you give me that name once more, please?
Yes, sir. Padilla Ambert.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. All right, I will get the interpreter on the line. Just one moment.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jaime Sotomayor, certified federal interpreter, not sworn in today yet.
Okay, welcome. All right, I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that you'll truly and accurately translate from Spanish and English to Spanish?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. First case I'll call will be Nick Davila Acosta.
He's approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Davila Acosta, you have been charged with, one moment. You've been charged with domestic violence battery.
Muy bien, usted está acusado de agresión en violencia doméstica.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you.
Tiene el derecho de permanecer callado y cualquier cosa que se diga puede ser usada en su contra.
You have the right to consult with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you.
Tiene el derecho de consultar a un abogado y si no puede pagar un abogado, se le puede nombrar el defensor público para que lo represente.
Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
¿Usted desea que le nombren un defensor público en este momento?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll appoint the public defender.
Muy bien, voy a nombrar al defensor público.
Okay, I do find probable cause,
Estoy determinando causa probable
and I'll ask, has there been any contact with the victim?
y voy a preguntar si ha habido algún contacto con la víctima.
Your Honor, for the record, Pat Hill with PTR. We were not able to make contact with the alleged victim. We did leave a message, but we haven't heard back.
No hemos podido establecer contacto con la alegada víctima, dejamos un mensaje y no hemos recibido contestación.
Thank you very much. Let me hear from the defense on your position on bond and conditions of release.
Voy a pedir la posición de la defensa en cuanto a fianza y condiciones de libertad.
Your Honor, as the nature of the charge is a misdemeanor, I'd ask the court to set a monetary bond of $100 with pretrial release conditions of...
Muy bien, como el cargo es un delito menos grave, vamos a pedir que se establezca una fianza de $100 con no contacto y no poder regresar.
Your Honor, he does not qualify for PTR at this time. He is currently out on bond in Osceola County case 21 CT 1752 with the charge of duellis.
Actualmente él no cualifica para ser liberado porque él está bajo fianza de un cargo anterior en el caso 21 CT 1752. Tiene una orden de arresto.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me hear from the state.
Can I speak?
You can confer with your counsel if you'd like, but if you say anything here, it may be used against you.
Usted puede consultar con su abogado si desea, pero cualquier cosa que usted diga que se oiga aquí puede ser usada en su contra.
Let me hear from the state.
There are no objection to setting a monetary bond in the amount requested by counsel with the condition of no contact with the victim.
No tenemos objeción que se establezca una fianza con la cantidad que ha dicho el abogado, con la condición de que no haya contacto con la víctima.
Okay, let me hear the state's position on whether the bond in case number 2021 CT 001752 should be revoked.
Quiero escuchar la posición de la Fiscalía en cuanto a si la fianza en el caso 21 CT 1752 debe ser revocada.
The state would be comfortable with not revoking the bond in the other case due to the nature of those charges.
Vamos a estar de acuerdo en que no se revoque la fianza debido a la naturaleza de aquellos otros cargos.
Okay, thank you very much. I will leave the bond in place in the other case. I will not revoke it.
Muy bien, pues yo voy a dejar la fianza en efecto en el caso anterior y no se la voy a revocar.
I'll set bond in this case at $100.
La fianza en este caso va a ser $100.
With conditions of no contact.
Y las condiciones es no contacto.
No te preocupes.
Don't worry.
With condition of maintain separate residences.
La condición también de mantener residencia por separado.
No return to the residence except for a one-time assist to obtain any possessions with law enforcement.
Y no puede regresar a la residencia de la señora excepto por una sola ocasión para recuperar sus pertenencias acompañado por las autoridades.
Okay, and if Mr. Davila Acosta has any weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement.
Y si el señor Dávila Acosta tiene alguna arma de fuego o otra arma peligrosa, debe entregársela a la policía.
Nada de eso. Y yo no vivo con
No,
él
no.
tampoco.
None of those, and I don't live with her either.
Okay, so then, thank you very much, and with that, that will conclude your initial appearance.
Muy bien, pues muchas gracias por eso y con esto concluye la audiencia inicial.
Pues entonces tengo derecho a fianza, ¿verdad? Lo que me dijo, por $100.
So what you said is that I have bail and $100?
Yes, sir, with those conditions.
Sí, señor, con las condiciones que él dijo.
Ok, ¿y cuándo tengo una llamada para poder llamar para que me fíen?
When will I get a phone call so that I can call somebody to bail me out?
You'll need to talk with the staff over there at the jail.
Tienes que hablar con el personal de la cárcel.
Ok, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, do we have a case number for this?
This is case number, no case number.
No case number yet. Okay.
Okay. The next case I'll call will be Jose Gonzalez Olmo.
Approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez Olmo, you have been charged with domestic violence battery.
Muy bien, señor González Olmo, usted está acusado de agresión en violencia doméstica.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you.
Tiene el derecho a permanecer callado y cualquier cosa que usted diga aquí puede ser usada en su contra.
You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you.
Tiene el derecho de consultar con un abogado y si no puede pagar un abogado, se le puede nombrar a la oficina del defensor público para que lo represente.
Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
¿Usted quiere que le nombren el defensor público en este momento? Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender.
Muy bien, pues estoy nombrando al defensor público.
I do find probable cause.
He encontrado causa probable, motivo fundado.
Has there been any contact with the victim?
Y pregunto a los oficiales si ha habido algún contacto con la víctima.
No, Your Honor, and this defendant does qualify for a bond with PTR?
Okay,
No, su señoría, no hemos tenido contacto, pero el acusado cualifica para fianza con libertad con las condiciones de anterior al juicio.
Let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Voy a escuchar a la defensa para las condiciones de libertad y la fianza.
We would ask that you set the bond at $100 plus pretrial release.
Voy a pedir que se concedan las condiciones de libertad con las condiciones de la oficina anterior al juicio y $100.
And if the court would need conditions of release, the appropriate conditions for release.
Y que el tribunal imponga las condiciones de libertad apropiadas.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
Vamos a escuchar a la fiscalía.
No
No hay
objection
objeción.
to a monetary bond being set with PTR conditions, including but not limited to no hostile contact with the victim and no drugs or alcohol without a prescription.
No tenemos objeción a que se imponga una fianza con las condiciones de la oficina anterior al juicio y con la condición de que no haya contacto hostil con la víctima y no drogas ni alcohol durante el tiempo de supervisión.
I will set bond at $100 with conditions of pretrial release.
Muy bien, voy a establecer la fianza en $100 con las condiciones de la oficina al servicio anterior a juicio.
As well as no hostile contact.
Así como la condición de no contacto hostil.
And no use or no consumption or possession of alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Y no puede poseer ni consumir drogas ni alcohol, ninguna medicina que no tenga receta.
And thank you very much, sir. That concludes your initial appearance.
Así que muchas gracias y eso concluye la comparecencia inicial. Thank you.
Does anyone else there need a Spanish interpreter, or I guess we don't have any victims, but anyone else need a Spanish interpreter? Can you just check?
¿Hay alguien más que necesite servicios de intérprete español? Por favor, levanten la mano.
Judge, no hands are raised.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Interpreter, we appreciate it. You are free to drop off.
Okay, we'll be waiting for Orange.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next case that I have is Raquan Clayton.
Approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Clayton, you've been charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause, and let me ask, has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No, Your Honor, and this defendant does qualify for bond with PTR.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time we ask the court to set a monetary bond in the amount of $100 plus PTR conditions. Reviewing the affidavit, I know that the state had, or the law enforcement had sent an APS with regards to the alleged victim on this case to the state attorney's office. I'd ask the court to set no hostile contact, the no return condition. I believe they all live in the same house, and that's why I'm asking for no hostile contact. Looks like these are all family members. Those are the only things I'd like the court to consider, Your Honor.
Your state?
All right, no objection to the request made by counsel in this case.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, I'll set bond at $100 with PTR conditions and a condition of no hostile contact. With that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, the next case that I have is Anthony Dao.
I approach you the microphone, Your Honor.
Okay, I have two cases. In the first case, Mr. Dao, you were charged with carrying concealed firearm. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause in this case. I will set bond at $1,000 with a condition that any weapons and firearms be surrendered to law enforcement. And that is, do we have a case number on that one? Okay, there's no case number yet on that. In addition, you have been charged with burglary of an automobile, armed or becoming armed, and theft of a firearm. In that case, I will set no bond on count 1. On count 2, I'll set a $2,500 bond with a condition of no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, and also a condition that any weapons or firearms will need to be surrendered to law enforcement. And with that, thank you very much, sir. That concludes your initial appearance.
Judge, is PD appointed and PC found?
Oh, I apologize. I'll also appoint public defender in that second case.
Thank you, Judge.
And Judge, just for the record, is there PC in the second case as well?
And I also found probable cause in the second case.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, the next case I've got is Philip Hoyle.
He's approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hoyle, you've been charged with domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, we were not able to make contact. And for the record, this defendant does not qualify for PTR. He is out on felony probation out of Osceola County case 20 CF 218 with the charge of criminal mischief over 1,000.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Your Honor, at this time, with regards to the type of charge it is, we'd ask and reading the affidavit, we'd ask the monetary bond to be set at $100, and to do also no hostile contact, as I believe it says that the alleged victim is not seeking prosecution, and furthermore, not to put a no return order because they do live together in this residence.
Hear from the state.
No objection to the request made by counsel.
Okay, I will set bond at $100 with the condition of no hostile contact. In addition, if Mr. Hoyle has any weapons or firearms, they should be surrendered to law enforcement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, and that concludes your initial appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are you taking the action? Motion?
Okay, the next case I have is Bobby McGee. Mr. McGee, you're here on a charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. In addition, you have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, I would like one.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. Has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No, Your Honor, and this defendant does qualify for bond with PTR.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, we were asking the court to set a monetary bond in the amount of $100 along with pretrial release. My only argument is with regard to the no return. I believe they live in separate residences already. I just want to make sure the court, if it does do a no return order, does not do it to where he lives. I believe where he lives is 101 Nicholas Court, Kissimmee, Florida, and I believe the offense location is 2208 Smith Street, Kissimmee, Florida.
Okay, state.
Your Honor, no objection to the monetary bond and in the amount of counsel's request. Also, no return to the 2208 address. And PTR, no objection.
Thank you. I will set bond at $100 with conditions of PTR. I'll have a condition of no contact, of no return to the scene of the offense. And if Mr. McGee has weapons or firearms, they shall be surrendered to law enforcement. Okay, so with that, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you, sir. Okay, the next case I have is Wilfredo Negron.
He's approaching the microphone.
Okay, Mr. Negron, you're here on an out-of-county warrant in connection with the writ of bodily attachment. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. And let's see, I do find probable cause. I'll direct that the bond amount included with the out-of-county warrant, which is $5,000, remain the same. And with that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance. Thanks, sir. Okay, the next case that I have is Caden O'Brien.
It's approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Mr. O'Brien, you're here on charges of armed burglary of an automobile and burglary of an automobile. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel. And if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause with respect to count one. I'll set no bond. With respect to count two, I'll set a bond of $3,500. That is with conditions of no return to the scene of the offense, no contact with the victim, and that Mr. O'Brien shall surrender any firearms or weapons to law enforcement. And with that, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much, sir.
Your Honor, for the record, he is out on direct PTR in Osceola case 21CT2428 with the charge of no valid driver's license.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I will revoke the PTR in that case as well. And thank you very much, sir. That concludes your initial appearance.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, the next case that I have is Christian Pena.
He's approaching the podium, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Pena, you're here on charges of fleeing or eluding a law enforcement officer with lights and sirens activated, operating a motorcycle without a license, and no motor vehicle registration. Anything that you say, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say here may be used against you. You have the right to confer with counsel, and if you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. I will I'll set bond on count one at $3,000. Count two, $500, and count three, $250.
Judge, may it be heard on the issue of count one bond?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if I'd ask the court to reduce it to $1,500 based upon him filling out an affidavit of insolvency for the request of the public defender's office. He has stated to me that he doesn't have the finances. I don't believe he is a flight risk, and I'd ask the court to just reduce the bond down to $1,500 on count one.
Let me hear from the state.
No objection.
Okay, then I will reduce the bond on count one to $1,500, so that'll be $1,500 for count one, $250 for count two, $250 for count three. And with that, that concludes your initial appearance. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, the next person that I have is Gerald
Mr.
Stokes.
Stokes? Approach approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Stokes, you're here on an out-of-county warrant. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say may be used against you. You have the right to, one moment. Just give me one moment. Okay, at this time, I will direct that you be held without bond. And with that, sir, that concludes your initial appearance. Okay, the next person that I had is Gabriela Gonzalez Hernandez, who I believe was in the hospital.
She was in the hospital. They have returned her here to the jail. However, she is not fit for court. If we could just reset this for 24 hours.
Okay, State?
No objection.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, defense, we also have the option of provisionally appointing you if you'll waive appearance, and I can just proceed to set bond. Would you prefer to do that, or would you prefer to just roll this until tomorrow?
No, Your Honor. We'll go ahead and I'll waive her appearance if you provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender. I know that there's bond set already. If we can go ahead and just place that on the record, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'll provisionally appoint the public defender in the case, in Ms. Gonzalez Hernandez's case. Bond will be set at $1,500 on count 1, $150 on count 2, and that will also be with the condition that Ms. Gonzalez Hernandez not possess or consume alcohol or drugs without a prescription.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then I have next Delilah Martinez. This was one that we reset because of a juvenile probation issue.
Yes, Your Honor. I had made the argument yesterday there was no probable cause for a violation of probation.
Okay, let me, so we again have Delilah Martinez. Ms. Martinez, one moment. We've continued your initial appearance from yesterday to address the issue of juvenile probation, whether there's probable cause for violation of that. I will hear, and I've previously appointed the public defender. I'll hear from the state.
In all candor to the court, the state was not able to obtain a VOP affidavit in the 24 hours since we last addressed this case. If the court is inclined to grant another 24-hour reset, then the state would request that. If not, then the state will leave it in the court's discretion, and I'll advise the next, the person who has this case, the ASA has this case.
Okay, let me hear from the defense.
Your Honor, again, we haven't heard anything as far as the juvenile probation. I would just argue that it is juvenile probation. The charge that Ms. Martinez appeared for yesterday was a misdemeanor, and which you had set bond and conditions. We would ask that that the court not take any action of probable cause on a violation of probation, and leave it as set.
Okay, I will leave it as set and not take action on the violation of probation.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you very much. And that concludes your initial appearance, ma'am. Okay, next case I have is Matthew Sanders.
He's approaching the microphone, Your Honor.
Mr. Sanders, you are here on charge of domestic violence battery. You have the right to remain silent. If you say anything here, it may be used against you. You have the right to you have the right to confer with counsel. If you cannot afford counsel, the public defender's office will be appointed to represent you. Would you like the public defender appointed at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. I do find probable cause. And has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let me hear from the defense on bond and conditions of release.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, we'd ask the monetary bond to be set in the amount of $100 with pretrial release conditions and any other conditions that the court may seem necessary to ensure protection of the alleged victim and his appearance in court.
He does not qualify for PTR at this time. He has an active warrant out of Orange County, which he has a detainer for.
Okay, let me hear from the state.
No objection to a monetary bond being set in the amount that counsel requested with the conditions of no contact with the victim.
Given the allegations here, I think a higher monetary bond is appropriate. I'm going to set bond at $2,500 with conditions of no contact, maintain separate residences, no return to the residence except for a one-time return to obtain any possessions with law enforcement assist. And if Mr. Sanders has any weapons or firearms, they must be surrendered to law enforcement.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much, and that concludes your initial appearance. Okay. And is that everyone for Osceola?
Yes, Your Honor, it looks like that's everybody on my docket. Thank you so much. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a good day as well.
Thank
Okay.
you.